First one is any apologies for absence?
We've got apologies from Councillor Derek MacLeod.
Okay. Any declarations of interest, members? No. Okay. Right, we'll go on to item 3, which is Scottish Fire and Rescue Services, and we have Group Commander Alex McKinley. If you want to go ahead, Alex, that would be great.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, councillors. I've submitted the report and I submitted the executive summary and a covering note, but there's just a couple of items in the report that I would like to add a little bit of context to before I take any questions, if that's okay with you, Chair. If we go to page 3, dwelling fires, the number of dwelling fires remains the same as previous quarter with a total of 3. But if I can just add a little bit of context, those 3 dwelling fires that we attended, they were all single occupancy private domestic properties. They required very little intervention by the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. The fire hadn't spread from the actual material first ignited, and there was some firefighting attempted by the occupants, which greatly reduced what our actual intervention was. Thankfully, there was no casualties or fatalities from those fires. If we can quickly turn to page 7 as well, there's been a slight increase in RTCs in the area. However, again, if I can just add a little context, they were all low impact minor RTCs. There was 2 male casualties on 2 separate RTCs, but it was very minor injuries. It was pretty much precautionary checks from the paramedics on scene, and our involvement pretty much was making the scene safe. So thankfully, no serious incidents there. So what I would like to do now, Chair, is just open it up to any questions on the report, and please.
Okay. Any questions, members? No, nothing, Bez. Alex?
Thank you for your detailed report.
Thank you.
No, I'm the same. Thank you. Thank you very much for the detailed report. And you just answered one of my questions there. So yeah, and noted the comments on the false alarm incidents as well. And one of my questions was on the RTC. I noted the station availability summary as well. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. If there's no further questions, can I just finish by thanking you all for...
Sorry, can I just...
Sorry, Chair.
Alex, can I just come in with one? What I was doing was giving everybody else a chance first. Item 3 in your report, that's page 13, I should say. Staffing. And I know Equity Buoy seems to be low, especially with the percentage call out. I think it's 9%. Applecross is low also. I know that in your report you've said that you'll keep on looking regarding recruitment, etc. for these areas. What would be good in that page is we can put the years before, like say you do in the other reports, accidents in 2019, 2021. If you can do the same, so we know exactly how many we're losing or how many we're gaining.
Yep, excellent idea. I'll certainly speak to the data analyst and get that included. I mean, I did take on previous recommendations with regards to the graphical information for councillors, so I'll certainly speak and get that included into previous area committee meetings.
Yeah, it just gives us a quick report to see if we're starting to lose some. And I know there's wee arrows there, but they don't.
Yeah, the arrows
they don't tell as much, apart from it's going down slightly up or slightly down. But I'm worried about the remote areas like Equity Buoy and Applecross. If we can somehow do something out in the areas and home in them to try and get people.
Yeah, certainly. I'll certainly get that added to the next area report. But if I can just say, your continued support in raising the profile of the SFRS is greatly appreciated. And these stations are constantly getting looked at to try and improve the recruitment in the area, but your support in raising the profile in the area is greatly appreciated. And also, I would also like to thank at this stage the primary employers of the RDS. If it weren't for the primary employers supporting the community by releasing the RDS, we wouldn't have that support from the RDS. Also, so thank you for that. Chair, are you happy to leave that with me to get that included in?
Yes, no problem at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Then. Well, thank you very much for your time, Chair. If you don't mind, I'll not remain for the rest of the meeting.
No, no problem at all. Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, members, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 4, which is the Coastal Communities Fund, if I'm correct. Yep. And I think it's Fiona Cameron. Fiona, you're there. So if you want to give us a quick run through, that'd be great. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair, and good morning, members. Yes, so this is the Highland Coastal Communities Fund again, which I know members have dealt with applications through this before, so it's not something new this time. So we've got 5 projects coming in front of you today requesting different grant amounts, and I just remind members that originally the allocation for Wester Ross was £347,543. Of that, currently there's a balance remaining of £53,104. So I suppose the main thing to draw people's attention to is that if you do wish to approve all the projects today, what we would have to look to do is draw down some of the new allocation that will be coming to Wester Ross this year. And I can confirm that the new allocation will be £339,108. So the balance that would need to come from that to approve all projects today is just under £40,500. So as I say, I've got 5 projects here, which we've presented a RAG summary assessment for to help with your decision making. I'm quite happy to maybe just give a bit of brief background on each project and just draw your attention to anything in particular we thought was important, but I would stress that all the projects, they are eligible and we have no significant concerns with any of them, which you would see from the RAG assessments. Is that okay, Chair? I'll just take them one at a time.
Great. Yeah, just give a quick brief. It's basically for everybody else. That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So the first one then is the Lockhart Community Development Trust, and they're essentially looking for £18,500 for the supply and construction of deer fencing, the installation of a timber bridge, and to cover 3 months of development officer funding. The total project costs are £44,612. And of that, most of the match funding is confirmed, although £7,000 that's been applied for from SSE is awaiting a decision probably around April. All the other match funding is confirmed, though there's no permissions required or anything else that would stop the project going ahead once that funding is confirmed. So on that basis, we don't have any significant concerns to raise, and that's, I think, reflected in the RAG summary. Do you want me to just keep running through them, Chair, or do you want me to pause and see if there's any questions on each one in turn?
No, it's just okay if you just go through them, yeah.
Sure, okay, so the next one is the Outdoor Access Trust for Scotland are applying for £30,000 towards a £535,000 project, which is for the Stack Poly car parking area. What they'd be looking to do is to make sure there's parking for 75 plus vehicles, install environmentally friendly toilets, put in some signage and some interpretation boards, and create viewing points. And as part of that work that they're doing then, through the car parking and toilets charging, there would be an opportunity for them to develop an income stream, which they would reinvest into the maintenance of these facilities. I think the main thing I would probably mention with this one, you'll see in the RAG assessment that they've been given a red for match funding and also an amber for project robustness. So the outstanding things for this project to still get in place would be that there's a significant amount of match funding still to be secured. They've suggested they would be making an application to RTIF for £375,000, and I would suspect that the outcome of that funding application wouldn't be known until the back end of the summer, maybe June, but possibly a bit later. There's also £130,000 of match funding that would be put in by Oates themselves, which is verbally confirmed, but the organisation would be applying for loan finance for that as well. But it's, you know, that portion of the money is essentially in place. The main match fund of the ARTIF funding isn't, though. They also still need to get in place, although the planning application is in progress, they will need a building warrant and SEPA licences, and Oates would intend progressing that once they have the full funding package confirmed. And there are leases that would need to be put in place, both with the Highland Council through the community asset transfer process and with Poly Estates themselves. These leases have the work started on them, the heads of terms have been agreed, but there's just the final work to be done. So no significant concerns with the project, but as members will appreciate, there's a number of things still need to come into place for that to be something that can actually get started. Okay, the next project is Untitled Chapter, and that is a project called Our Arts Hub, where they're applying for £27,000 of coastal communities money towards a £30,000 project. And what they're looking to do is adapt the Market Street building into an arts hub for all. So at the moment, they're looking at having, sorry, excuse me, a gallery space.
Sorry.
A gallery space, artist studios, a ceramics room, community art room, and an office. But what this project application is for is specifically the energy efficiency work. So it would be to purchase solar panels. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Solar panels, thermostatic controls for the heating to make it more energy efficient, and replacing some of the radiators, doing some of the internal installation works, and creating an improved all-ability access entrance, which will also be more energy efficient. And there's also some work to replace some of the guttering, the fascias and the soffits. They have a lease in place and they have all their match funding in place. So should you wish to approve that project today, it would be ready to start. The next one is Welcome Liverpool, which is an application for some funding towards installing entrance sculptures on the way in and the north and the south of the village. So the sculptures are already made and they were funded through other funding that was secured, but due to cost increases and other factors, there isn't currently funding available to actually install these. So all the match funding for this project, which, sorry, I should have said the applications for £3,500 towards an £8,290 project, and the match funding is confirmed coming from EDF, SSE and their own funding, and all the permissions are in place. So again, with an approval of coastal communities, that one would be ready to go. And then the final project is an application from High Life Highland for Liverpool Youth Space. So this is presented to you in the paperwork as an application for £14,550 towards total project costs of £17,310. And the project would be looking to recruit 2 assistant youth workers to extend the opening of the youth space in Liverpool for young people at the village hall. So essentially they would now be able to open 5 nights a week instead of the current 3 nights that they do open. And alongside that, then they would establish new groups and activities for these nights. And the only thing I wanted to really update you on there is that we had clarified between the paperwork being issued and today that the match funding in this project is probably better to be viewed as in-kind funding for administration purposes. So the money is confirmed, but if you wish to approve this today, my suggestion would be for the ease of drawing down the grant, we would suggest taking the match funding out and counting it as an in-kind contribution, which would then make it a £14,550, 100% funded coastal communities project. And that's a very quick gallop through them, Chair, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
No, that's great. I'll just get around everybody first. Biz, you've got your hand up.
Could I declare an interest in the High Life Highland application, please, as I'm a board member of High Life Highland?
No problem, Biz.
And then the other applications, are we until end of March, are we still legally bound to consider the applications as being tourist related? That's what we agreed with the Crown Estate funding.
Do you want me to answer that, Chair?
Pardon? It's not there because she was going to check that we did pass this area committee.
I can maybe clarify that. So I think it was agreed at Area Committee that there would be priorities for the funding. So that doesn't necessarily exclude any other projects coming forward. So I think of the projects presented to you today, the one that we would suggest maybe isn't the best fit with the priorities, which were around tourism facilities and community infrastructure, is probably the Highland application, because that is specifically to put in place youth worker posts. So if you look at the RAG assessment, we've marked that as an amber for meeting local priorities, because it doesn't strongly meet the priorities that you had set, but there's no reason why members can't approve that should they wish to, because these are your priorities, and you're welcome to make the decision.
And the Lockhart one?
I think it was marked amber again for meeting local priorities, but there may be an argument that with the bridge opening up access to the woods and the fencing to generally improve the access and the layout of the woodland, that it could be viewed as a community infrastructure project.
Thank you.
That's great. Alex, anything?
Not particular. Just want to thank Fiona and her team, because what's in front of us is really detailed information has been presented, and as you've seen, there's a high level of audit and scrutiny against the criteria parameters, and bearing in mind, we've asked for some additional information. So I'm quite happy with what I've seen and heard today. Happy to go forward. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Yeah, just to get through them, I mean, we have been talking about these projects for a while. As Biz says, we made things at the start, but things are slightly changing. And of course, some of this money will get into next year, where we will be changing the parameters for next year's. So I don't see any great problem. Also, I mean, regarding match funding, the outdoor access one, okay, they've got a lot of money to get in. They have done the same type of project over in Skye, so there's nothing to say they can't do it here. It is a project, it's really, is dire needed at Strathpeffer, and to be honest, the council hasn't got the money to build toilets and extend the car park. So this is a way of doing it, and we've been talking about this one, I'll be honest, for about 3 years, maybe 4 years. So it's good to at least get it moving. And of course, it's not as if we're going to lose any money if it doesn't go ahead, because the reason is it's all, it's all settled up in, binding conditions that we're putting in there. So as far as I'm concerned, the 5 projects, I think I have no problem going ahead. Also, just for, just as a comment, that's 357,000 we're spending, probably another that's just over 400,000 in this fund that we have spent in Westeros, which is about the first time ever. And that's a lot of money, considering we've lost European money, etc. We're supposed to be getting levelling up money, but I'll be honest, you've well seen the fairies in the garden and you'll get that money. So this money is very important for the area, to be perfectly honest, very important.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, Fiona, for all the work's been done. I know it's long and painful sometimes getting an answer, but that's great. So I think the recommendations is just for us to approve this. So
Chairman,
yeah.
Sorry, can I just check that Councillor Campbell has declared an interest in the Highland application, therefore with 2 members. You would need then to take that. I don't know if you want to take the recommendations one by one on each one, and you may then need to take the decision on the Highland one to a strategic committee. I don't know if Alison, if you're able to confirm that, or if I'm wrong on that one, Alison.
That's right. It would go as a recommendation to the Highland Council.
But presumably, while this remains for the other items, we could approve those.
Yes.
Okay, then what we'll do is we'll go through them one at a time, just to confirm everything's okay. So the first one is Lockhart Community Development Company. So I would approve that one.
I would approve it too.
Approve.
Okay, next one's Outdoor Access Trust for Scotland, which is the Strathpeffer car park. I would approve.
Approve it. Approve it.
Approved.
Next one is Untitled Chapter, I would approve that one.
Approve.
Approved.
And the next one is Welcome to Liverpool. That's the one with the sculptures for the entrances, so I would approve that.
Approve.
Approve.
Okay, the next one's Highland, which I would approve.
I'd approve.
And of course, Busy's already said, you know, due to being a director. Okay, is that all right?
So you would like that? Oh,
If
you
we
would
can
like
take
that to go forward as a recommendation to Highland Council for an approval?
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
great. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, that all right?
Great,
Okay.
thanks, Chair.
Right, thanks very much, Fiona, as I say, for all your work. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Aye.
Okay, members, just bear with me. The next one on the list is item 5, which is the Housing Performance Report. And we've got Rory here. Rory, do you want to go through your report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, councillors. The housing, I'm presenting the Housing Performance Report for Q3 2021-2022. The figures represent the position at the end of at the end of Q3, end of December 2021. I'll just point out the highlights. I won't read through it in exhaustive detail, but I'll refer the councillors to the tables, which express the performance in figures. The repairs performance in emergency repairs is still within target. It's been a focus, obviously, all the way through the pandemic, and it's maintained good performance, but it's actually improved in Q3 as well. Members will recall from the last committee that non-emergency repairs are still affected by the lockdown period, where we were having to prioritise repairs and in some cases delay them. So we're still working through backlogs in that, and obviously there's also been backlogs in supply chain and trades, but we've got an improving trend, and we're looking to see that probably be an ongoing effect through the 2021-2022 year, and but we're keeping pressure to keep that trend heading down towards achieving the target. The average relet time in West Ross, Strathpeffer and Lochalsh is heavily affected by a new build scheme. So while that looks exceptional at 9.27 days, if you take out the new build scheme in Strathpepper, which was a significant number of the allocations over the area, the actual performance is 35.83 days, which is just slightly over our target of 35 days. That's affected by some of the same supply issues that are affecting the other repairs times. Rent arrears has been it's been up and down over the year, but it's broadly within a stable band, and it's just slightly more than the rent arrears was in Q3 of the previous year. So I'll open it up to questions for members at this point.
Okay, thanks, Rory. Any questions, members? No. Oh, Biz.
Rory, we go to I'm on the climate change working group, and we've had somebody from housing come to it and say that they're replacing defunct old heating systems in our council houses. But yet when we go to Colin Sharp and ask somebody, pensioner, especially with the rising energy price in April, whose heating system is not functional, and they're not even on the capital plan. Could I get an explanation of that, please?
Yes, certainly. I'll do my best. it would have been Brian Cameron at the Climate Change Group, and he manages the capital programs. Our replacement program for heating is targeted at replacing the oldest heating systems first. I'm not sure where your constituent sits in terms of the age of their heating system, but I believe we're looking at anything older than 20 years at the moment. But I'm happy to come back and confirm that with information from Brian. If there's an issue with the heating system functioning, sometimes heating systems, even if they're not if they're not among the oldest, sometimes they do end up beyond economical repair. So we would look at it on that basis. I'd be happy to take the details from you separately, Councillor Campbell, and follow up on that individual case.
Thank you, Roddy. I will certainly be sending you his details, because he had confirmation from the council that his heating system was not functioning properly. And he is a pensioner, and with the rising cost in April, I am so concerned about him. Thank you.
It's a significant concern for us as well. I mean, we do our best to provide efficient heating systems, but we don't have control over the tariffs, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Rory. Alex, anything?
Yeah, thanks, Ian. And nothing really in particular. I mean, thanks very much, Rory, for the report and its detail and all noted. So, you know, except in respect to the pandemic, you know, it's an improving situation. And I've taken note, you know, where you've highlighted the reactive repairs and these appointments as well. Again, you know, it is improving. And I just want to take the opportunity as well to thank yourself and your team for all the work you've done in helping some of my local constituents here with their housing challenges. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Bez, you get your hand up again.
Sorry, I forgot to mention to Rory, thanked him for the environmental money for the footpath for Wim's Place, that they worked in a conjunction with Dougie Miles for the new play park at Wim's Place and widen the existing payment so that residents, if they need an ambulance, can get out. So thank you for that. I believe they met last Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Rory, I've just got one question. It's probably about a dozen questions in the one question. Biz touched on it with heating systems, etc., in the housing, which in some instances seem to be causing problems depending what heating systems we put in. And of course, with the change, you know, we did put in a lot of biomass, but I've heard that we're stopping putting in biomass, which I'll be honest, I'm glad of, because I think I said to this council 8 years ago they shouldn't be putting in biomass. But anyway, we'll not go into that again. So I'm glad to hear that is stopping. However, we're now into electrics, and could maybe at the next ward meeting, rather than we're full meeting, could we get an idea of the types of heating systems that we're putting into the housing now and what we're putting in? The reason I'm saying that is if we're dependent on electrics, and electric is don't get wrong, everything seems to be shooting through the roof. But we really need, we wouldn't mind having a look at it to see what we are putting in and what we can say to, the constituents when they phone up, etc. Because it is going to be a problem going forward if we can do that. Okay, that would be great. Thanks.
Absolutely, Councillor Coburn. I can talk to my colleagues Colin and Brian, and we'll put something together for the next, if not the next, then the following ward business meeting, and get some time to talk through the heating systems that we're putting in. Biomass being a combustion type heating system is probably on, it'll probably eventually be regulated out at some point anyway. And yeah, I agree. We've had some issues with some biomass installations. I would point out some people do like them, but they're not always suitable for all of our clients or all of our properties. And I think we've had a mixed quality in their installations, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for that. Okay, I think we've got item 5B, which is garage rents. Is it yourself, Rory, is going to go through this also?
Yes, that's me again. This is the garage rent report for the 2022 to 2023 year. The report proposes an increase in garage rents. It's a decision that's delegated to area committees for garages within their areas. Our recommendation as a service is that we increase rents by 1%, which is in line with the council house rent increase that was approved at Housing and Property Committee. But it's for local members to decide how much they would like to increase rents or not by. The 1% increase would have an impact on garages of 9 pence per week on a garage rented to a council tenant, or 11 pence per week on a garage rented to a non-council tenant. For garage sites, which are bare stances for people to build their own garage on, we rent those stances out at between 71 and 86p per week, and the impact of the increase would be rounded up to 1 pence for non-council and council tenants alike. So I'll take any questions and defer to councillors to make a decision.
Okay, I don't see any hands going up. So we've got, I would agree, we just put them up 1%. I've not got a problem with that. Yeah, I've got agreed on that.
Agree.
So I would put them up to 1%. They put them up by 1%, sorry. Also, Rory, again in the garages, now we might be going back, if you take the 2 years of COVID out, probably another year before that, we've kind of lost the place with the 2 years of COVID lost. Well, we're going to have a review of the garages to see if we were going to knock some of them down, turn them into car parking areas rather than garages, or, you know, to widen the streets, because I know certain areas like Strathpepper, I mean, they're doing nothing, they're empty, but we need parking areas. So could we have a look at that again in the garages in our area, just to see if we're, you know, what's really needed, because I know a lot of them are not in great condition. Some are, some are not. And have a review. If we could do that, that would be great.
Absolutely, Councillor Coburn. It's on my list of things to do, which I've run out of space on my arm, but it's actually made it on the list. I do have a resource that I'm putting towards that. Unfortunately, she's been promoted away from me, and I'm having to record it. I'm having to recruit someone to replace her. But as soon as I get that resource in place, I'll put together some information on garages throughout the ward. And if you're happy with that, I'll come to a ward business meeting once I've got that prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be great. It's just one of these things, we don't want it to fall off the chart again and then we're 5 years down the road, you know, but that would be terrific. Okay, everybody happy with that? Okay, thanks, Rory.
Yes, happy.
Happy.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members, we're now on to item 6, which is the Ross and Cromarty Educational Trusts. And we have, sorry, is it Hayley Cameron? Hayley?
Morning, yes,
Hayley.
I'm here today.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to go through the report on the Educational Trust?
It was just a report to note, so I don't know if members have had a chance to read through it.
Okay.
Obviously, there have been a number of delays with the COVID pandemic, but the report that Derek has set out indicates the amounts that we've approved since August. But hang on a second, I can bring it up.
Sorry, Hayley. You're not
Yeah.
bringing it up on the screen, are you?
No, just
sorry,
bringing it up so that I can.
Just checking.
Yes. No, I read through it this morning, but because it had said, it was for noting for councillors, just I wasn't prepared.
No, it's no problem. I tell you why,
Okay.
Hayley. Right,
Yeah.
I've read through the two of them. The one that really probably interests us more is the Duncraig Trust one, because that used to be based in this area, and of course then it took the wider area. Now, again, the problem is it's got something like 800,000 approximately sitting in it, and the fund is the capital, and we're getting. Sorry, I've lost a bit of paper myself. We're getting very low interest. It's about, it was either 5 or 15. I can't remember. And we said years ago that, to be honest, if you gave me 800,000, and I don't mean going out and putting it in the first horse, at Newmarket. What I'm talking about is you could easily get better interest rates than that. We're doing something wrong. Again, I think it was a year before COVID. Again, they were going to look at this to see what we come back, to see what we can put in short. I know the interest rates are bad, but the interest rates we're getting are absolutely, zero. So could they go away and look at this again to see what we can do to put the 800,000 in?
Absolutely, I'll take that back to Derek, and we'll discuss further to see what we can do to try and obviously get a better interest rate, and we can report back thereafter. I'm not sure on obviously the legalities and if we're tied into anything at the moment, but I'll certainly report back or ask Derek to. Yeah.
If you could, that would be great. I've got Biz, he's asking a question. Biz?
It's also about the Duncraig Trust. I know that the trust for many, many years, and it said Highland children and children of Highland descent could apply. Now, we used to have committee meetings. In fact, Pessenjury and Coburn chaired the Duncraig Trust meetings, but we haven't had meetings for a long, long time. Has there been no applicants, or is it because of COVID it's been dealt with delegated powers by officers?
Yeah, it was dealt with delegated officers. There is applicants and there is money being paid out, Biz. But I think if Hayley could go back and say we wouldn't mind having another meeting to see where we are, and we could,
absolutely.
We could discuss the the interest.
Yeah, it sounds like a starter for 10, that there needs to be some sort of review meeting with consultation with councillors and local members, just because it is something that has been sitting solely with Derek. So it would be good to come together and obviously sort these things out and have them approved in a kind of instead of just one person. So yeah, I'll certainly take that back to Derek, and I'm not sure if you want us to feedback at the next ward business meeting, or if you're happy for us to, this is a rolling item on the agenda for your next committee.
If you could just maybe give us a quick feedback at the next ward business meeting. Just saying, yeah, okay, we'll go for that, we'll set something up and we'll have a look at it. But if you could do that, that would be great. Thanks.
Absolutely, that's noted. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Hayley. That's great. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Okay. Right. Okay, the next one's place-based investment. That's item 7, place-based investment programme. And it's Alan Webster. Hello, Alan.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. Place-based investment programme, Scottish Government capital funding, not to be confused with the Council's similarly named place-based investment funds. It's a wee bit confusing. So essentially, this is a 5-year capital programme of funding, but we only have a 1-year grant award for 21-22. So the expectation is that we get these funds committed by the end of March. So not long to go, really. E&I committee considered this on the 1st of September and agreed an area allocation approach, just as we did with the Town Centre Fund, you will remember. And E&I committee applied the very same calculation that the Scottish Government did for distributing the money across Scotland. That resulted in your committee being awarded £80,906. Now, you may remember we discussed this at a ward business meeting late September last year, and actually we had an exchange of emails as well in around November where we talked about this again, and we agreed that we would invite bids for the available funds. The process opened on the 29th of December and closed on the 21st of January. There was 5 applications received for your area members, and the total amount of grant requested was £181,207.40. Now, I've extracted the salient sections of all applications and appended those to the report. There's quite a lot of information in there, so hopefully you've had a wee chance to read them, but we'll run through each of the bids as well. I don't propose to read through sections 4, 5, 6 of the report. Again, that's the background to the fund, the objectives. We've discussed that last year in those briefings I refer to. So if we jump to the actual bids themselves, as is typical with this type of funding, as I say in 7.2, you know, they're very different in terms of outputs and outcomes, which makes considering them a wee bit of a challenge. And they're all valuable projects. They all make a positive contribution to their own individual areas. However, in assessing each of the project's members, there's probably 4 key considerations that you need to take account of. First one being, does the project satisfy one of the 7 place-based investment programme objectives detailed in section 5 of the report? Fundamentally, is the expenditure capital in nature? That's a key requirement of this fund. And can the expenditure be contractually committed by the end of March? Now, you know, we're sitting in early February. We know that will be a challenge, and E&I committee acknowledged that in September as well, and agreed that we would write to the Scottish Government, the Council would write to the Scottish Government seeking flexibility in that regard. Now, we've had informal discussions. We are now following that up formally just now as we run through these area committees this month, where many of the areas are selecting their projects for investment. We know there are delivery challenges, and members are keen elsewhere to explain to the Scottish Government that they wish to pursue the best projects that deliver the biggest value in their areas rather than being dictated to by timetables. And the 4th key consideration is, does the projects align with the community planning partnership objectives? Now, E&I agreed that that would be a key consideration in the decision-making process. And you'll see in that section, I have alluded to the ward manager providing a verbal update in that regard. So if you don't mind, Chair, can I just refer to Dot just for a quick word at this point?
Sure.
Yep, thank you very much, Chairman. Yep, the Mid-Ross Community Planning Partnership did have a wide consultation in 2019, and improved play provision was one of the highlights of that the area was keen to see. Less so in terms of the environmental basis for projects. While there was an importance on the built environment, it was recognised in there, but probably less of a priority for the community planning partnership. But play provision is certainly one of the key priorities. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dot. So if you don't mind, Chair, I'll just jump into the actual bids that you received for your area, starting at 7.4.
No
which is a Communities Housing Trust application looking for the sum of £30,320 to essentially carry out development work associated with refurbishing a long-term vacant property for affordable rent. Now, the refurb costs are estimated to be £190, but what they're looking for here is the grant to do that feasibility development work. Unfortunately, that's not eligible. The actual refurb work itself, that's capital, but that preliminary development side of things wouldn't be eligible, I'm afraid. So I think that's one that maybe needs a wee bit of work, and there's a potential candidate for PBIP in future years, but not that early work. Are you happy for me just to run through the individual projects, or take questions after each individual one? Okay, so 7.5, I think that we're all familiar with this project. The Strathpepper Residents Association for their play park there. Members have already awarded Town Centre Fund grant towards this project for a lot of the drainage and infrastructure there. It's I think a 6-stage project, if I remember rightly. They're now looking at stage 3 of their project. They're looking for £50,500, and essentially this is to carry out the network of paths throughout the site. It satisfies the PBIP objectives. You know, you've given it TCF before because of town centre revitalisation renewal. That's a key objective of the PBIP as well. It is capital and it is deliverable as far as I'm concerned. They have quotations, they have a preferred contractor in place, so there are no issues from my perspective with that particular project. If we move to 7.6, Altby Hall, again a small request here, £8,630 and £40 to be precise, towards a 25,500 refurb of the vacant hall. You're probably aware of it. Part of the hall was closed in 2018 due to concerns about the built fabric, and then in 2019 I believe it closed completely. It's estimated that the modest £25,500 investment would extend the life expectancy of the property for another 20 years, so a good investment for that period of time. And obviously it'll provide a valuable community resource in the immediate to short term. It meets the objectives of the fund. It's capital, deliverable potentially. There is a risk though, and that's your match funding. It's not in place yet, so there's potentially a funding gap, and quotations could potentially come back higher. But I think those are manageable, and I'll get onto that later in the paper as well. 7.7. This is Strathpeffer Community Development Trust, and again the square. I think we've discussed this, members, before at ward business meetings, etc. I can totally understand why the trust wish to do this. However, personally, I've got significant reservations about the approach being adopted here. So the trust are looking for £79,000 to match with a private sector contribution of £16,000. This type of project's not unusual. You know, many local authorities run small repairs, shopfront improvement type grant programs, but the key point being there, the local authority does that. It wouldn't be on an exclusive basis as is being proposed here. Ordinarily, it would be an open challenge fund based on a geographic area, and generally we would have intervention rates circa 50% rather than the 80% intervention rate potentially being offered by the trust here. Again, you know, it's not a criticism of the project. I understand why they want to do it, and I do say that it's commendable. But I do think there's significant risk to the council as funder here. If ever a dispute arose between the property owners and the trust, the council could potentially get drawn into this just by virtue of the fact that the funding came from the council. This could go in perpetuity if there was defects with the property at a latter date. The property owners were not happy. The council could get drawn into that as well. So I've come to the conclusion that this is ineligible on competency grounds. What I would say is if the private property owners do wish to apply for PBIP grant, there's nothing that prohibits them from doing so. So that's a red flag as far as I'm concerned, that the property owners themselves haven't come forward and applied for this fund. I think there has to be a recognition that the property owners take responsibility for their own assets, and they come forward seeking the funds directly from the local authority and clearly articulate the market failure that exists with those properties and clearly outline the public benefits to the project. And finally, 7.8, which is the Lochalsh Community Trust, their Viking Network pilot scheme, which they're hoping to extend by 6 months. Fundamentally, this is an employability project, and I've got no doubt one that's making a positive contribution, but 50% of the costs are attributable to staff time and participant travel costs. So it's not eligible, it's not a capital project, and not a good fit for this particular fund. So if I move to section 8, members, if you're reminded to approve the eligible PBIP applications that you have before you, it will result in just over 21,000 still to be committed. And what I'm saying here is Altby Hall has a challenge with their match funding if that's not realised. So there's an opportunity to address any funding shortfall there with your uncommitted funds. And the same goes for the park in Strathpepper. There could be an opportunity to add value to that project. It's a 6-stage project, so there could be an opportunity to accelerate some of the latter phases of that into stage 3. So what I'm suggesting is that officers potentially engage with those two project leads to explore if there's any added value, any opportunities to invest additional monies. That would necessitate delegate authority to Malcolm MacLeod and yourself, Chair, because obviously the money has to be committed by the end of March. So we would have to move quickly in that regard. If we can identify expenditure with those two projects, what I'm also proposing is that we go back to our town centre fund projects and look at whether there are any opportunities to maybe accelerate bits of their projects or add value to those as well. It's not a significant sum of money, this 21,000, so we could potentially move quite quickly to work with live projects as we see them. Again, but we would require that delegate authority to move quickly, members. So that concludes the paper, Chair. Happy to take questions.
Okay, Alan, that's great. Thanks for that detailed report. Any questions? No. Okay, and looking at the projects, I can see why some of them have been. Oh, sorry, Busy's just come in with a hand up.
No,
Biz?
He explained the criteria for the grant. So on hearing them, I would fully agree with the officer's recommendation to us. Thank you.
No problem at all, Biz. No problem. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, regarding the projects, just on the Strathpepper Residents One Association new play park, it's a bit more than a play park.
Aye, indeed.
I know. It's just if we're saying this, some people maybe will listen and say, "Whoa, this is going to be some play park." It's more like Disneyland, It's more than just a play park. It's a place where people can sit, walk. There'll be gardens in there. There'll be gardening areas. There'll be community projects. So it's a large area. And it's a large project. I mean, I think the total project is, I might be wrong, but we're talking about 350, 400,000, something like that anyway. That kind of money, if I remember right. So it is quite a big project. I can understand the square in Strathpepper regarding the owners, and I can understand where you come from there. But at least if they want to move forward in the next year's one, I think you're right, the owners could apply, and then it cuts that out. So they take responsibility. So I've no problem with that, and no problem with saying. So I've got no problem in approving the two projects, which is the Oldby Hall and the Strathpepper Residents Association's new play park we'll put in.
Indeed.
So has everybody agreed on these two recommendations? Alex, you okay with that?
Yeah, I agree with engagement. And
as he's ready, say they agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
we're okay with that to go forward on that basis. So thanks very much for all your work, Alan. Just on the other ones, will they get feedback?
Aye, I'll provide feedback post-committee now, so we'll do that this afternoon.
Smashing. That's great. Thanks a lot. At least I know where they're sitting. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, members.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay, the next. Sorry, bear with me. I've lost my. Next one is item 8, which is the place-based investment fund. Dot, you're going to go through this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. It's a place-based investment fund, which members will remember that awarded £100,000 to every ward in Highland. That was awarded through the last budget in March 2021. In August last year, you agreed that you would split the £100,000 with £40,000 being invested in footpaths and £60,000 being issued by way of an open call to communities for any projects coming forward which would help to offset the harms of COVID. When that last round closed in January, to date we had 14 applications and we awarded £47,353 to those various projects, which has left a balance of £12,647. In other discussions, members have also invested very heavily in improving the play provision in the ward and see that as a key priority for the health of the area, particularly given the COVID situation in the past couple of years, and also in terms of public toilet facilities in the ward, both for tourists but also recognising the importance they play in many different villages across the ward. So the proposal, Chairman, is to repurpose the remaining £12,647 of your place-based investment fund by splitting that and awarding £6,323 to support the provision of play equipment in the ward, and the same amount to support the provision of public toilet facilities in the ward as well. Thank you.
Okay, we're all agreed with that.
Agree.
Agree,
Alex?
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
fine. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Dot. Thanks for that. Okay, now we come to the Area Roads Capital Programme, which is the bane of our life. And I believe, Colin, you're talking on this? Or is it Ian Moncrief? Oh, there's Ian, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I will do a very brief introduction just to explain that I'm attending each of the area committees to support my roads operational managers in the delivery of the capital papers. And really it is just to stress to members the importance of approving a capital programme, because that will now enable us to programme and work through those works as effectively and efficiently as possible. So it's just to mention the opportunity before us in terms of the investment that we've got and the allocation of the funding. Stress to members the real importance of agreeing a programme of work so we can actually get behind that and deliver that effectively. And I'm here just to support Ian get that through. But Ian, the reality of it is, Chair, that Ian knows the details, so I'll ask Ian to go through the detail of the paper.
No problem at all. Ian?
Hi, thank you, Chair. Well, it's as you recall, we've discussed the different roads we were looking to sort of like improve through the capital programme at the ward business meeting. And just to recap, we have £600,000 of a budget, and looking at the schemes we had discussed previously, I've tried to keep a selection of roads concentrating on both the A-class roads, which are strategic roads and carry the most traffic, but also bearing in mind some of the minor roads which are in dire need of some work. And I think you'll see that the programme split into two, with a red line above the red line is fully funded. Below the red line, it depends on additional funds. The schemes that have been selected reflect both the strategic nature of the A-class roads and those local roads. So you've got a range of A's and C's and U's in there. So really just taking it from the top, we've got the A890 from Octatyre to the dam, just under 3 kilometres for surface dressing. The 896 Torridon Hotel heading south up the hill, 1.1 kilometres, again surface dressing. A section up at the A835 near Drumrooney, that section's been on the cards for a few years now, but it's just been outside the, if you like, the envelope of what we could afford. That's a fairly large section of 3.3 kilometres. Back to the 890 Stromfree Viewpoint heading east. Although that's surface dressing, we do intend to do a bit of edge strengthening there as well. 3 sections on the Bundeloch Road in Dorney, and those are going to finish off that project which we started this current financial year. That will involve patching and then surface dressing. The 896 Torridon to Kinloch, you'll recall that we did something like, I think it was 8 kilometres of the road last year. Well, we want to do another 5 kilometres. Again, this is surface dressing with patching included. And some of the we've got Tarby in the east end of Wester Ross. It's got Strathpeffer, Lochalsh area. It's just on the point of, and Rue Road, we did half of that last year, and now we would like to go back and do the remaining half. That road is disintegrating as well quite rapidly. And finally, there's 2 sections at Kyle. You'll recall that we had got a contractor in to do, I think it was sections 1 and 4. These are the 2 remaining sections just to finish that scheme entirely. And then below the red line, if there's additional funds becoming available, would like to do some more work in Strathpeffer Main Street and the 834. Some more work at the north end of the area on the 835 from Rooney to Knockin. And then 2 roads on the Strathpepper bypass. We've got Braintree Road and Achmore Village West. So I think that really sums up the schemes that we've got on the programme, and I'd be happy to take any questions, councillors.
Okay, thanks for that. I think, Liz, did you have your hand up?
I certainly did.
Right, okay.
Both Colin and Ian will know how shocked and aghast I am. There's no mention of the Glenelg Road on that plan. I know all about council budgets. I know officers have a job to do, but I asked the simple question, when did the technicians go over to Glenelg, which was a lifeline road for a fragile community, and examine that road and say it was okay? Because it's far from it. I have, in my 20 years as a councillor, never seen anything like it. It is horrendous. Glenelg Road is a mountain pass that was built for a horse and cart. One local resident has counted 14 forestry lorries going out of there in one day. That road has been hammered to bits. There's been local minister going over to Peacham on Sunday has had an accident. There's been several near misses. I've had 1,000 complaints. Imagine 1,000 complaints. There's 2 of you here there today. I get that on my shoulders. And if there's another accident of that school, I've had the school bus driver complain. He's driving those children to school. It certainly won't pass health and safety, taking children to school. And if there was an accident with that minibus going over that hill, I couldn't live with myself. Enough said. I've sent you emails. I spoke about it to Tracy Addy before Colin took over the job. She got Robin Pope involved to try to do a forestry application. But right now, I can't go back to that community and say, an application is being prepared. You have to wait months. What we need now is the potholes filled immediately before there is that accident. Thank you. Enough said.
It's a pity, Councillor Campbell, that you didn't raise this at the ward business meeting, because we could have perhaps included that in the programme.
I am sorry, Ian. Like the emails I never got a reply to on the 28th of January about the concrete blocks on the Stone Ferry bypass. I still never got an email regarding that. I contacted Tracy in last July about the Glenelg Road. Don't tell me I have never addressed the Glenelg Road. I have the emails to prove it.
Yes, Councillor Campbell, I appreciate that. But if you'd raised this issue that you wanted the Glenelg Road included in the draft capital programme at the ward business meeting.
Look, at that meeting, I knew that the forestry funding was being applied for. At least that's what I was told. How do we know it's been applied for? I want a copy of the application sent to me. Why I never said it at that meeting was the forestry application has been applied for and that money would cover the Glenelg Road. But it's got to a stage now that they can't wait that long. They don't even know at the end of the time if they're going to get that money. And next year, 2023, SSE are coming into Glenelg to replace the pilot lines. I've been addressing this Glenelg Road since last July when I don't know when Colin took over from Tracy, but it was certainly with Tracy. Robin Pope will back me on that one.
Right, we've got two things here. One is the immediate thing is the potholes. Can we get somebody to have a look at the potholes, Ian? Because they should be getting filled in.
Yes, we can do that.
Right. Let's have a look at the potholes. Two, Colin, you'll probably know. Are we applying to the forestry regarding the, you know what I mean, the forestry money? Are we applying for that road?
Thank you, Chair. The situation with regards to the forestry, we are in dialogue with STTS over Strategic Transport Fund money for the Glenelg Road. We're also in dialogue with SSE to see whether there's opportunities in terms of leveraging some funding in. So those conversations are ongoing. Apologies, Councillor Campbell, that is actually being led by Robin Pope still, who still reports to Tracy. So what I can do is give a commitment that we will give you a full report on exactly what that situation is with regards to STTS following this meeting. We've already heard from Ian that he's going to give a commitment to undertake an inspection and undertake remedial measures. Can I suggest, Chair, that you know, if Councillor Campbell is mindful that we agree to add that to the below the red line as an opportunity for us. If there's additional funding, then I'm pretty confident that all of us would like to see that road improved. So if we add it as a below the line, if funding becomes available or we deliver some of the other works more effectively, that will give us the opportunity to drop in. And that was the decision taken at this committee. Chair, does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, I agree with that. You agree, Alex?
I agree, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I knew you would agree, Bez, so we'll agree.
Of course I agree. I'm just,
it's okay, okay, I know.
I live with this. I live with it daily. I get complaints all the time. I even go on my own personal Facebook and I'm assaulted on my Facebook for it.
Well,
and I say, councillors can do so much.
You should never go on Facebook.
And I still haven't had a reply to the 28th for Strathpeffer and Lochalsh Community Council about the concrete block. Every time I've asked it's in this year's capital plan. There's not much of this year's money left. It's only till end of March. Every time I've asked, I'm told they can't get steel. Yeah, the hotel's been built in Inverness. They can get steel. Their contractors can get steel. Let's get a new contractor.
Anyway, we'll leave it at that to get below the sorry. If we can put that below the red line, let's see what we've done. If Ian can go, look at the potholes, let's get them filled in for a start, and then look at the forestry money to see where we are. Okay, have we agreed to do that? Everybody agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Right, okay, that's great. And of course, we'll better get back to the first thing we're here for, that we're going to approve at the plan as we went through. So I would agree we approved with the plan. Okay? Agreed?
Agreed with the plan, absolutely.
Right.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. Thanks, Ian. I think that was all we had in the roads, wasn't it?
No.
Or we could be here all day. Right.
I still never got a reply to the concrete block.
Okay, I can give you an update on that if you'd like just now, Councillor
Well,
Campbell.
you can send me an email. I have it in writing.
Okay, if you can send an email regarding the concrete blocks. Okay, thanks, Ian. All right. Okay, Colin, Ian, thanks very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Bye. Okay, that's item 9.
Ian, can I ask you something? Does Kate Forbes have any influence on the forestry applications?
No. Why?
No.
No.
Does it go to the Scottish? Does it go to the forestry? Where do the applications go for the forestry fund money?
It's a scheme. It's run between the forestry and I think it's the forestry, the Scottish government, the thing, but she's not got any. She can't go in and tell them what to do. No.
No, she can't influence it. No.
No. I mean, she can write a letter like all MSPs, MPs, and that supporting it. if you see where I'm coming from.
No, it's just that there was a sign at the end of the Ardell Road for the Free Church, which I've asked for 2 years to be really put back up, and it never happened. And yet the minister, I saw the minister yesterday, and he said Cape Forbes, he had a letter from Cape Forbes saying that the sign would be put up by the end of February. She had influence there.
Okay, right. No, we're drifting off here, Liz, Biz. What would happen is their office would write a letter to the council asking about that sign. The council would then get back to them saying, regarding the sign at so-and-so, we will be putting the sign back up, and they've probably said to you at the end of February, if that's what they've said. That's all they would say.
I see.
That's what they would say. We do that all the time. An MP's, MSP's office is write to the council about certain things. They get answers back on whatever they're writing in about, and that's all it would be.
Oh, I see.
She can't tell the council what to do. No MP or MSP can, well, unless they start waving a few million quid as if we might decide to do something. But anyway, no.
That's okay. Move on.
Okay. Right, item, sorry, that was Airy Road. The next one is item 10, which is the minutes. And they're just for noting. I think you've all read the past minutes, so everybody okay with them? Okay, agreed?
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
That puts us on to item 11, which is the supplementary paper, which is the comfort scheme application for, and it's from Chocolates of Glen Shiel. Now, I don't believe we get a report on this. We don't really need anybody to talk about it. So there's no problem.
I agree. Beautiful new toilets.
Yeah, Alex, you okay with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's in a key spot. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, no problem with that. Dot, you okay with that?
Yep, that's fine, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, if you are keeping me in the right, I think that's the last of the supplementary papers. There was nothing else, was there? Right, good. I've got them all over the desk, but that's terrific. So I think that's the end of the meeting, and thank you everybody for attending. I believe that's the last one before the elections, is it? Yep.
Yep,
so,
that's correct.
So thank you very much, and thank you for being with me for being the chair for the last. Well, we've only really had it for a couple of, well, no, even a couple of years, but we've only really been able to get going for a year. So, but it's been, I think everybody's noticed the difference with having their own committee. I think you can see that even with the money we've handed out today, as we've said, that's, I mean, not just the money handed out, but if you add it up, that's about 700,000, and we've got another 350. That's it, 850, nearly 900,000, and you probably take the rest of the money. That's £1 million going into Westeros that we didn't. A lot of it we didn't have before, so it's good. And of course, it's good that the local councillors aren't doing it, because they then pinpoint the areas within the local ward, which again is great, and it's local democracy. Okay, we can't get it right all the time, but at least we're doing it, and we can't get criticised for not taking into consideration, especially the whole ward, because that's what we're trying to do from every area of the ward. So I would say thanks very much, Biz, Alex, for being with us, and Dot also for helping us run the committee smoothly, and everybody else that helps in all the offices. So thank you very much. Sorry, Biz.
I just wanted to thank you for chairing the meetings, and Alec for being part of the committee, and how we've all got on well together and all been of the same mind. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Biz. It's been good. At least even if we have our arguments, we can always come to agreements in the end of where the best place we think the money is. And that's what it's all. That's what local democracy in the area and being a ward councillor counts. It's nothing to do with party or non-party or where you are. It's getting things done.
Also wanted to thank Dot and Derek as well for being so forbearing with us.
That's very.
Thank you very much.
I was going to say that's very true. Yes. I think it was the officers sometimes when we go on, I'll be shutting me. But thanks very much to everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And